Hey guys, so today we're gonna talk about 10 ways to save at the grocery store. These are really good tips and they're not just like coupons or sales. These are way better than that. So let's get started. Okay, my first tip is to, and you've probably heard this one before, but let's just get it out of the way. It's to buy generic items. Now, obviously, there's certain generic things that I just would not buy, like dishwasher detergent or garbage bags, chocolate chips. You know, there are a lot of things that I like to buy name brand, but then there are many things that can be bought store brand. Sugar, I think there is no difference. I think sugar is fine. Baking soda, vinegar, a lot of products that you could just sort of test and see and read about the generic version, which may be good. I'll also say Target has like a really good store brand. I think it's called like Good and Gather. I buy these cheese, like these individually wrapped cheese crackers, and I used to buy like the big name brand. And then I realized that they were really, not only really expensive, but then I also realized that they had high fructose corn syrup in them, which is like really bad. And like, I don't know, there's a whole bunch of things that are bad with high fructose corn syrup. But then I realized that the generic and store versions of that same exact snack did not have high fructose corn syrup, and they were like half the price. So I totally switched and it's been great. Also, don't forget like dried goods, those you can also buy as like generics. Name brands will actually make the exact same product as like a generic brand, and they'll brand it under Kirkland, the Costco brand, and then they'll sell it for like half the price. And my second tip is to make a list, make a shopping list. So I have a list on the side of my fridge, and then throughout the week, anytime we run out of something, I just go and I put it on the list, and then by the end of the week, I have a good list that I can take to the store and shop from. It's really dangerous when you go shopping without a list. I can't tell you how many times I'll go in, I don't know what I need, I'll end up just like grabbing things, and then I'll get home and I'll realize I already had what I had purchased. And which leads me to another tip. Make sure that before you go to the grocery store, you kind of shop your pantry, you know, understand what you've already got in the pantry, through your fridge, look through your freezer, and just kind of see like what do you actually need, and try to use up what you already have before you buy it new. I also say without a list, you know, you get into like that impulse buying category. You kind of go into the grocery store, you just kind of grab things that look good to you, and then you impulse buy just random things that you don't need and you weren't going to buy in the first place. Also, you know, like when you're in line and they have like the end caps or like the sort of goodies on the side as you're waiting, they're totally preying on you so that you're just standing there, you're waiting to check out, and you just kind of grab some things that weren't on your list, and there you go, an extra 20 bucks that you didn't intend to spend. So make a list, keep to it, stick to it. Okay, the next advice is to shop around at different grocery stores. So we have about 2 grocery stores within a mile of our house. One of them is actually, every time I go there and I buy pretty much the same products, it's about $50 cheaper than the other grocery store. Just do your research, kind of understand which stores are charging what, and then that way you know where to go for which products and just shop around. And I know a lot of places like Walmart, if you go there and you show them, hey, you know, this is on sale at this place, Walmart will generally price match. So, you know, you can go to Walmart and get the best prices for around town, and they'll match that price for you if you can just show them that another place has it for that price. Okay, my fourth tip is to sort of think about what you're buying and think if there's another version of that thing that you can buy. So I'll explain. Imagine you buy like canned beans. They also have dried versions of that food. So for example, I buy lentils and beans all in the bags that are dried. That is so much cheaper than buying those beans or lentils or chickpeas in the can. The other thing is, think about your fruits and vegetables. You know, first of all, fruits and vegetables are expensive. Second of all, they're only in season for a limited amount of time, and I definitely do not think you should ever buy fruits or vegetables when they're out of season. So thinking about that, the frozen foods in the grocery store are like the biggest kept secret of the grocery store. I've been saying this for a long time, but I've been buying frozen veggies and frozen fruits, and even like, you know, the spinach, the little boxes of spinach you can get. That is a ton of cooked down spinach. It would be so expensive if you bought that spinach fresh, but they cook it down and they sell it for like $1 or $2 just in that little box. Same thing with bags of broccoli, bags of peas. You could just throw that into whatever meal you're making, and it's so much cheaper than buying it fresh. The other thing about frozen food is they actually pick it when it's ripe and at its healthiest peak, and then they freeze it right away. So by the time you get it, it's still super healthy. Freezing it doesn't do anything to its nutritional value. And then also frozen fruits. These are great. You know, the mangoes, you can thaw them and eat them just like whole. You can put the blueberries in your smoothies, in your oatmeal. There's so many things you can do with frozen fruits, and they're such a good deal. And then the next thing, just sort of thinking about what you're buying, think about the spices and like nuts that you may buy, and just think about like the bulk foods. Like, what can you buy in that bulk section for less? We have an organic grocery store near us, and I can buy herbs and spices for like so cheap, way cheaper than the prepackaged little canisters that they sell in the grocery store. It's like a really good secret. You know, you just save your canisters, buy the spices in bulk, refill the canisters. It's great, and it saves a lot of money. And cheese, you know, they sell blocks of cheese that are way cheaper than the shredded cheese. And, you know, when you're buying shredded cheese, you're not just buying the cheese, you're actually buying cheese that's also got cellulose in it, which is like a form of paper because it's like an anti-caking agent. So you don't even really want to buy shredded cheese anyway, but as a tip, just get the block of cheese, shred it yourself. It's like a tiny bit more work, but it's gonna save you a lot of money and you'll get a lot more cheese for your dollar. Okay, my next tip is also about spices. So you know how in the grocery store you go and you buy like those little packets of spices and seasonings for different meals? You know, they've got like taco seasoning or like hamburger helper kind of thing. You can make all of that at home. I have a ton of spices at home. Just look up a recipe online and you can put together your own taco seasonings. You can put together sloppy joes. You know, whatever you're making, you can use your spices and you will save a ton of money. Those packages are pretty expensive, so it's a great idea to just do it at home. Okay, my next tip is about looking at the price per unit instead of the price per item. So I learned this when I was maybe like 10 years old and going shopping with my mom or with my dad, and they always taught me to look at the price per unit rather than the actual price. So like all of the things we buy has a price per unit, a different price depending on the size of the item. So let's just take like Cheez-Its for example. Sometimes Cheez-Its, like the smaller boxes, will go on sale and they will look like a better deal than the bigger box, which isn't on sale. But if you look at the price per unit, sometimes you can see that it's actually more expensive to buy the ones on sale, and you should just get the bigger box that's not on sale because the price per unit is lower on the bigger container. It's not always that way, but I encourage you to just check the unit price and make sure that you're paying the lowest amount per unit depending on which size you want to buy. Okay, number 7 is try to limit packaged goods. Anytime my grocery bill is like way higher than I thought, we've added a bunch of packaged goods to our cart. You know, frozen meals, frozen pizzas, chips, crackers, all of those things are really expensive. You're paying for the convenience, you're paying for the packaging. So I would say try to figure out where you can cut out those packaged goods. Maybe there are things you can make at home, especially like the frozen pizza thing. You could get like cheese and dough at the store and make your own pizza for way less than like a frozen pizza. But the packaged goods are a killer. So any way you can limit consumption of the packaged goods is great. My next tip is to buy less meat. Meat is one of those like very expensive items in the grocery store. Obviously the price is going up and up. But one of the things you can do, instead of making meat like the main thing that you eat, you know, like a piece of meat with a side of vegetable, try instead making the meat part of your meal. So making a dish that includes meat in it, and the meat is sort of like a side or an ingredient in the dish. So, you know, you could make different casseroles or soups. You know, ground meat is a great way to do this. Just try to think of ways that you can use less meat in your dishes and you will end up saving a ton of money. The other thing I'll mention about meat is a lot of stores have rotisserie chickens. These are generally very inexpensive. You know, you could never buy like a raw chicken for as little as you can buy a rotisserie chicken. The reason is, you know, they're trying to get you into the store. You know they have chickens. You're going to come in thinking you're just going to buy a chicken, and then of course they want you to spend more money, so they're going to tempt you with other items around the chicken. You know, that's the idea with the rotisserie chicken. But you know better. You're just going to go in and you're going to get the chicken as part of your list, and you're going to save a lot of money, and you could eat that chicken for, you know, a couple days depending on how big your family is. but the rotisserie chicken is a great deal at the grocery store. Okay, finally, my last tip is to never go shopping hungry. This is like the golden rule of grocery shopping, and I have made the mistake before. I'm sure you have as well. Just have a snack before you go. It's an easy thing to do. You definitely do not want to go to the grocery store hungry, because at that point you're just seeing everything that you could possibly eat. You're putting it in your cart. You're eating through the aisles. Just make sure to have a snack and you will be fine. You will not deviate from your list, and you won't buy a ton of things that you don't actually need or want. Okay, that's it. Those are my tips. I'd love to hear from you. Let me know in the comments if you have any grocery store saving tips of your own, or if you've tried any of these. I would love to know what works for you guys. And if you like this video, I would really appreciate it if you would give it a like. And if you want to see more content, of course, definitely subscribe to my channel, and I will see you next time.